conflict that began at the end of February with intense joint attacks by the United States and Israel against Iran. And that involved blockades in the Strait of Hormuz, exchanges of missiles and drones, as well as indirect fighting on fronts such as Lebanon. The Memorandum of Understanding has already been electronically signed by Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance and the president of the Iranian parliament, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, is paving the way for 60 days of detailed negotiations on the Iranian nuclear program, sanctions relief, and regional normalization. The document, only a page and a half long, extends the current ceasefire, orders the gradual reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, with no tolls for the first 60 days, and it conditions economic benefits for Iran on the fulfillment of verifiable steps. Among the central points is Iran's commitment to never possess a nuclear weapon, to resolve the disposition of the stockpile of highly enriched uranium, and to discuss future enrichment limits in the final agreement. In return, the United States commits to not imposing new sanctions, withdrawing mobilized forces, and gradually releasing frozen assets under a pay-for-performance model. The new memorandum provides for the gradual removal of this blockade and the safe resumption of commercial navigation, with Iran committing to guarantee free passage, and to engage in dialogue with Oman and other Gulf countries about the future administration of the important maritime route. While President Trump describes the agreement as a significant breakthrough that meets the American red lines, Iran, without nuclear weapons, without a stockpile of highly enriched uranium, and without the ability to strangle the global energy supply, there are internal signs of caution emerging within Donald Trump's administration. Sources familiar with high-level discussions told the American newspaper Axios that CIA Director John Ratcliffe warned Donald Trump and other senior advisors that American intelligence assessments raise serious doubts about Iran's willingness to make the nuclear concessions required in a final agreement. Ratcliffe was not alone. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth also expressed concerns during preparatory meetings held before the announcement of the memorandum on Sunday. The intelligence gathered by several American agencies showed clear discrepancies. The internal discussions among Iranian officials about the agreement did not match what Tehran was conveying to the mediators, such as Pakistan and Qatar, and to the American negotiators. A source summed up the situation saying that intelligence shows that Iranian intentions are not aligned. In short, intelligence shows that Iranian intentions are not aligned with the commitments made in the agreement. The American Vice President J.D. Vance, along with Special Envoys Steve Coffey and Jared Kushner, supported the advancement of the negotiations. Trump and his second advisor. The American intelligence agencies found clear discrepancies. Trump considers all opinions, but remains the final decision maker. He would only accept a final agreement that is considered good for American interests. The memorandum marks the end of the most intense phase of the conflict, which lasted 108 days since the beginning of Operation Epic Fury. The initial American and Israeli attacks targeted missile facilities, air defenses, and Iranian military infrastructure. Iran responded with barrages of ballistic missiles and drones against regional targets, including Israel and American bases. The conflict also extended to Lebanon, with fighting involving Hezbollah. The April ceasefire was fragile and is now extended for another 60 days, which can be renewed to allow for technical negotiations. The United States maintained a strong naval presence in the Gulf and the Indian Ocean throughout the entire period. The naval blockade put significant economic pressure on Iran, limiting its oil exports as well as its imports. With the new understanding, the deployed American forces are expected to be gradually withdrawn if Iran complies with the initial steps. The reopening of the Strait of Hormuz without tolls in the first 2 months represents immediate relief for global energy trade, although military analysts warn that any future violation could lead to the rapid reimposition of naval restrictions. On the nuclear side, the memorandum postpones the most difficult details for the coming weeks. Iran maintains it won't seek nuclear weapons, but U.S. intelligence doubts Iran will surrender or neutralize its stockpile of highly enriched uranium and accept strict enrichment limits. International inspectors are expected to return to Iran as part of the process. J.D. Vance stated that there are strong verification mechanisms in the agreement. However, American intelligence sources indicate that the process could be halted in 2 to 3 weeks if there are no clear signs that Iran is willing to make the required concessions. Iran will receive concrete and immediate benefits: reopening of the strait, partial sanctions relief, and access to frozen assets, while the deeper nuclear concessions are left for the final agreement within 60 days. If Tehran does not move forward with these concessions, the United States can simply stop the process without Iran having gained any significant permanent benefits. On the other hand, a successful agreement could include a reconstruction fund of up to $300 billion for Iran, tied to reforms and nuclear verification. The agreement, if consolidated, would reduce the risk of nuclear escalation and new direct confrontations, benefiting stability in the Gulf and the Levant. Israel, which actively participated in the initial attacks, would see its security reinforced by a verifiable containment of the Iranian nuclear program, although Netanyahu has expressed caution about the exact terms. A successful final agreement could redefine relations between Washington and Tehran, reopen economic channels, and reduce pressure on critical maritime routes. A failure in the negotiations, however, could lead to a resumption of hostilities, with the United States maintaining or strengthening its military posture in the region. The next few days will be decisive. American and Iranian technical teams, with mediation from Pakistan and Qatar, are expected to meet later this week. J.D. Vance, Witkoff, and Kushner have a meeting scheduled for Friday with Iranian officials, including the Foreign Minister Abbas Aragash in Switzerland. This understanding represents a calculated stance by the Trump administration to use military and economic leverage to force nuclear concessions while offering an economic way out for Iran itself. Success will depend not only on the signing in Geneva, but also on both sides' ability to fulfill commitments under strict verification. Recent history shows that agreements with Iran can quickly fall apart if mutual trust is not built. What do you think Iran will do in the coming weeks? Will it meet the nuclear requirements or try to buy time? Leave your comments below. If this analysis helped you better understand the current scenario, like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications to receive detailed content.
Além disso, peço seu apoio. Doe qualquer valor para nossa chave Pix, canal aramilitaroff@gmail.com.